Hello everyone, I'm Synthia Andrews, your host of the Universal Learning Series radio show, where we discover the spiritual and scientific universe. Welcome. Joining us today will be Dr. Synthia Andrews. She is the author of the brand new book, The Path of Energy. Good morning, Synthia. Thank you for joining us today to discuss your new book, The Path of Energy.
Good morning, Sandy. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me on.
So let's start with a synopsis of your book for the listener, Synthia.
Well, basically what the book is focused on is the idea that we are in a time of transition unlike any we have really been in before, and are finding out that old ways of doing things aren't really solving today's problems. People are looking for new ways, and inside of our body is everything that you need to find new ways of doing it. And for me, that's developing energy awareness and understanding how your body is perceiving a whole different level of reality. And through engaging that level of reality, we have new solutions and new problems to the problems we're facing. So the book basically goes through 13 meditations that help shift your awareness into different levels. And with these different levels of awareness, you can then change conditions in your life. So the first part of the book is the meditations. It's very experientially oriented. It's to help people kind of make the connection between energy and awareness. And the second part of the book goes into constructs and a little bit of science. Not a whole lot of science. It's really based on people's experience. That they can have a model to put what they're experiencing into if that's helpful for them. And then the third part of the book shows them how to use these techniques into everyday life situations to make their life work better for them. And that's basically the book.
You start off talking a little bit about Einstein in your book and E equals MC squared, which I thought was great. Do you want to talk about that for a second? Well,
for me, what was most extraordinary about that statement, E equals MC squared, is the realization that energy and matter are the same substance. The only difference is the rate at which they vibrate. So when we then look at subtle energy and try and define it, we may not have the ability to measure it right now in terms of our electromagnetic spectrum and in terms of the technology that we have to measure things in that spectrum. We may not be able to measure this now, but we have the understanding that beyond the speed of light, there's a whole realm that we haven't yet engaged, and that subtle energy may exist in that realm. I think that for me, what's most important in this book is the idea that our body holds the key to everything, and it also holds the key to the research that's being done right now scientifically in the body. I think is giving us the answers and the directions that we need for understanding the science of subtle energy.
You reference subtle energy. Are you referencing that in the same context that a normal person who in the spiritual research field would call energy? Are you just calling it subtle energy, or are you talking about something else totally different?
No, I am referencing the same thing, and the reason that I call it subtle energy is just so that people who are very scientifically oriented aren't confusing this with the four known forces of nature that we know at this time, that we're talking about something outside of that.
What is your take on the past in terms of mystic teachers? A lot of spiritual books, they reference mystic teachers, and the statement is always, they knew. So what do you know about what they knew way back when about subtle energy?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think if you look back, my own personal training is in Chinese medical practices, is in Acupressure and acupuncture and the pathways of energy in the body. That was where I started my studies. And if you look back to the cultures who developed that, and the ancient Indian cultures that developed the concepts of chakras, and actually all of the indigenous cultures around the planet had some concept of the chakra system and pathways in the body of energy that just had different names for it. It seems to me that before, current time, there was a whole lot more connection to an understanding of this flow of energy. Every culture has a name for it. Every culture has a system for how it's used. So we somehow have lost that, and, maybe we've lost it through the development of technology. I'm not really sure, but somewhere along the line we lost that connection to that natural flow, that natural understanding that I think these ancient cultures had.
Synthia, can you talk about chakras for a bit and tell us about where they're located in the body and what colors and what they do for you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of different information about chakras. There's many different systems out there. I kind of divide my understanding of chakras into two different types. There are the ones that exist that are connected to what I call the physio-energetic system in the body. They have physiological connections and energetic connections. There are 7 key ones of those, the 7 major chakra system or chakras, which start at the sacrum and go up to the crown of the head. Each one of them is associated with a specific color, with a specific sound, frequency, and most importantly, developmental challenge and gift. So as you develop them, you have different abilities that come from each one of them. Each of them, as each develops, the whole system gets more attuned and more developed. So it isn't so much a stepwise progression as it is an overall growth. The base chakra deals with very physical survival issues, financial issues, being here grounded on the earth, connected to the earth. The second chakra is more related. Did you want me to go through each one? Are you looking for that?
Yes, please, Synthia, yes.
So the second chakra seems to be more related to creativity and sexuality and that creative energy that motivates us in life. Our third chakra seems to be more related to personal empowerment and the ability to take that creative energy and that connection to the earth and manifest it externally into the world and get our goals and dreams met and have, our personality imprinted. And then we do a leap up into the fourth chakra, which is the heart center chakra. It's the in-between chakra between a spiritual awareness and the more physical awareness. It's the chakra of unconditional love. It bridges the divine and personal so that we can maybe transform from wanting to make our personal imprint to wanting to imprint what's best for all in the world, wanting to put out what will help everybody rather than just self. That then goes to the throat chakra, which is the expression into the world of maybe higher wisdom, higher truth, higher knowledge, our own creative expression mixed with that. And the next chakra is the third eye, which deals with psychic perception, intuition, higher understanding, higher knowledge, and then the crown chakra, which is our direct experience of the divine. So those are what I call the physio-energetic chakras. Above those are more spiritual chakras that connect, that I don't really talk about in the book. I just focus on the 7.
Okay. Now let's talk a little bit about these 13 meditations. Let's start with the first one. What's the first one?
The first one is what I call the spiral pillar of light. I originally received that meditation from Barbara Marciniak, who wrote the foreword to my book. She, in all of her channeling sessions, she's a world-renowned channeler, opens it up with the pillar of light meditation, which creates a circle of safety and healing around people. In my experience of that meditation, what it does is interact with the edge of your aura, and it can help you to expand your aura so that you have more personal space around you. And once you have that personal space around you, if you ground yourself into the earth and fully inhabit that personal space, then your presence in the world is greater, and your presence inside of yourself and your ability to live in the moment and to see the moment clearly and to engage in and pay attention to all the different interactions that are happening in a given moment are increased. So the spiral pillar of light for me is the key meditation for everything in the book. That one opens the door to everything.
And I understand, was it you write here, stand, sit, or recline, visualize yourself standing on the earth, breathe in deeply, and with each inhalation, imagine cascading spirals of light descending in, through, and around you. And then you go on and list some other things to do here. Super, super. Let's talk about the others for a couple of minutes on each one, please, Synthia. I think this is the core of the book here.
It is definitely, for me, the core of the book, and I thank you for focusing on them. The second meditation is called the Earth and Sky meditation, and basically it is about being the bridge between the earth and sky that all traditions say that humans are. We are the place where spiritual energy interacts with physical energy, and that is what life is. Life is the interaction of the spiritual and the physical. So it is the spiritualizing of matter, and that is what this meditation is about, taking your spiritual source in the sky, bringing it down into your body, into the earth, and planting it to that one part in the earth where you grow out of, and then bringing that up into your body, sending it out to the sky so that you really become that channel between earth and sky. It helps develop presence, it helps develop grounding, it helps develop centeredness. The next meditation is the Circle of Life, which is based on the Taoist meditation of the microcosmic orbit, which is the central channel of Chinese meridian theory. And developing that meditation helps to energize all parts of your body, mind. It's the nourishment of every cell, so it's really wonderful for energizing your system and for healing and for bringing a more energized state to your chakra system. And let's see, the next one is a chakra. It takes all of the energy that you're developing through the meridian system and puts it into each of the chakras so that you can understand the message and where you're hung up in each chakra. So the fourth meditation takes you through each chakra and does a clearing with each one. The fifth meditation, this one is an interesting one because most people aren't really aware of this aspect of chakras, but chakras are often thought of as a vortex of light or a field of energy. They also have another aspect to them, which I call fibers of light or light filaments, but they are cords of energy or fibers or filaments of energy that flow outward from you. I think that if you look at the old Hindu pictures where they show each chakra as a flower and the number of petals grow on the flower, it's the same with these filaments. The number of filaments grow depending on which chakra that you are in. And they go out and they explore the world, and they have two functions. They're either free to sense and explore and experience and bring you information, or they attach to something and anchor you. So the more free fibers you have, the more free attention you have, the more attached fibers you have, the more grounded you are. And you need both, and you need to be able to move them as you grow in life. You can't stay attached to things that no longer serve you, or you won't have free attention to grow and develop. So that meditation helps you to determine how many of your fibers are attached and how many are free, and how you might want to explore that a little bit. Now, I can't remember the order of the rest of them, so I'll just say
that's okay. I'll help you along the way, Synthia.
Okay.
Next one is weaving the nadis. Is that how you pronounce it? Nadis?
Nadis. So
nadis.
The nadis. The nadis are a Vedic word for energy pathways in the body, and the specific nadis that I'm talking about in this meditation are the three that interact with the chakras on an upward spiral and activate Kundalini in the body. And Kundalini is a spiritual energy that lives in the base of your spine, sleeping until you're at a point in your life when it can awaken and your spirituality unfolds for you. If that gets awakened prematurely, it can be really traumatic. And, we can talk about what that's like. But if it arises...
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, well, so if it awakens prematurely, it enters into chakras that are undeveloped, and so all of the parts of that chakra that you haven't come to terms with yet erupt in your life. So, for example, if you have a sexual imbalance, which seems to be happening right now on the news quite a bit, and that energy enters that sexual imbalance, then you will begin behaving and encountering circumstances in your life where that imbalance is magnified 100 million times, forcing you to deal with it. I think if you look around today, right now, in general, that's exactly what we're seeing. We're seeing all the undeveloped parts of people being exposed to a new energy coming in, And we have to engage it. We have to deal with it. We have to heal with it, or else we're stuck in this polarity and conflict that we're seeing around us right now. So what weaving the nadis does is clear the pathways between the chakras so that the chakras themselves can receive this spiritual energy and rise that spiritual energy up with the least amount of conflict to the system. So if you're doing these meditations and you're clearing your chakras and you're freeing your fibers and untangling them and clearing them, and you're opening the nadi pathways, you're perfectly poised for receiving higher frequency energies and changing your life.
Is this what sort of happened to Luke Skywalker when he rushed off to face Darth Vader and The Empire Strikes Back and got his butt handed to him on a silver plate? Something like that, right?
I think that's very good. Yeah, I think that's very good. And then you got to handle the Force carefully.
Exactly. The next one is 5 Hearts Open.
So the 5 hearts of Chinese medicine is the heart chakra in the 4th chakra, and the chakras, the smaller chakras in the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. When these chakras are all opened and energy is flowing between them, it allows a deeper connection to the energetic aspect of everything around you. So your heart connects with people not on the surface level, but into their essence, and your hands connect with the objects around you, not on the surface of what you're feeling, but into the energy that organizes it. Your feet connect you not just to the ground underneath you, but down to the level of the ley line of the earth, and it enriches your experience of belonging and being connected to the world in a tremendous way. It's one of my favorites.
Wow. When you say you're connecting to physical objects, can you feel them? Tell me a little bit more about that, please.
Well, so our body is always receiving the information from the electromagnetic spectrum around us, from everything around us that is emitting energy, and everything is emitting energy. And just the way that our eyes receive electromagnetic energy from the light spectrum and translate it into information in our brain, and our ears do that with acoustic vibration, our body is doing that with this subtle energy vibration and translating it into information inside of us all of the time. And so we have information about everything around us at a deeper level than just what we see and what we hear. And that's what that meditation opens you up to, that energetic matrix that is behind it. It's in the atomic molecular construct of it.
I see.
It's what's holding it together.
Okay, Synthia, we move on to the Queen's headdress.
Okay, another of my favorites. This one is based on the headdresses that the Egyptians used to wear, where the ancient Egyptians, where the base of the cone is very narrow around your head, and then it widens up as it approaches, the higher part of it. And what it's really doing is receiving energy from spiritual realms, if you will, and bringing it down into your aura. So there are striations in the headdress that react to the layers of your aura, and as you're bringing energy in, it changes the vibration in these layers. And so the layers vibrate faster and faster, and they move in counter direction to each other in alternating layers and vibrate more and more and more. Anything that is in your aura, any thought forms, any constructs, any emotional patterns that can't vibrate to a higher level, just get kind of popped like bubbles. And so it's a cleansing, clearing, opening meditation.
The next one is the winged disc.
The winged disc is operating again with the heart chakra. It's opening up the heart chakra to spiritual energy that then is channeled down into a person's hands. It's used very much for healing. It's a healing meditation. It's used to energize your hand for transmitting love into the world in whatever way you see that. It's also used for manifesting, and for manifesting the highest and best good for all. All of these meditations try to work on helping us see that we are a part of something much larger than ourselves, and what happens to other people, cruelty anywhere in the world impacts us in a very deep way. So whenever we can work to change cruelty, we're not only helping other, we're helping self, that it's all one and the same thing.
Okay. Synthia, how long should a person spend on each meditation? Is there a limit or an approximate time?
It's kind of an interesting thing. As you do these meditations, the first time through, it might take you 5-10 minutes to do each meditation. Once you have done them once and they're in your body, all you have to do is think of the pattern, and it's activated inside of you, and you feel the shift. So in the beginning, maybe 10 minutes on each one, maybe not even that much. But once you understand them, once you have them, they're yours to call in whenever you need them. And then in the third part of the book, where it goes into to really using these meditations for changing aspects of your life, you'll be activating several of them in a given exercise to create a change that you're after.
The next one up is the Celtic Cross.
The Celtic Cross was actually the first one I ever received, and it was back in 1981. The Celtic Cross is 4 orbs of light, well, actually 6, but 4 that surround you in a horizontal plane around the level of your solar plexus. They are attached to each other in a circle. One tube of light attaches them all, and then other tubes of light go from one to the other over your body, so it looks like a gyroscope, and you're standing directly inside of that. When that is activated and it begins to spin, it does 2 things. One, it's a protective barrier that nothing can get inside energetically. So if you ever feel that you're under psychic attack, or that you need protection, or that you're having difficulty with your own boundaries of knowing what is you and what is not you, this is an excellent meditation. It also creates a vehicle that you can use to explore other levels of consciousness. So if you want to, if people who do astral projection or who do journeying, shamanic journeying, this provides a vehicle for you to be able to move out into those realms with impunity.
Wow. That sounds a good one. Okay, the next one up is the Mystic Triangle. And these are under sorry to interrupt there. Are these under the umbrella of master activations, correct?
Yes. Now we've moved into the master activations that are a little bit bigger than just our own personal aura. The Mystic Triangle creates portals for communication purposes, and those portals, I mean, my husband and I have experienced this in very dramatic ways. These portals can open up just between people for telepathic communication, different times, different places. They can also open up portals to connect in with maybe nature spirits or other spiritual entities that you desire to connect with. So people who do channeling, people who do mediumship, find this a useful pattern to open up before they do those types of works.
Wow. Okay. Next one up is Pyramid Purification.
This one developed in 2005 when I was really heartbroken at the time over what was happening with the tribes in the Sierra Nevada, the Koji and the Arapaho, and a number of different tribes whose job has been to hold the frequency on this planet so that younger brother, as they call us, can develop themselves spiritually. And they have for centuries maintained a continual meditation practice similar to the Tibetan monks, where they maintain what they consider physical reality. They call their mountain the heart of the world. And they have to go around 4 times a year to different places and do their prayers. Oh, I think I'm going to start crying. This is so touching.
Okay.
The places that they go to do this are being destroyed at such a rapid rate, and the difficulty in maintaining that spiritual presence on this planet is very challenged right now. And when I was meditating with that and how we could support them, this is the meditation that came up, that each of us can begin to take responsibility for what we put out into the world that is of a harmful vibration to life, and call those vibrations back in, integrate the shadow part of ourself that sends it out there, and become responsible for everything that we put out. And this isn't easy. I mean, anyone who knows me and knows, different dynamics I have with different situations understands that I can be as bad as anyone else on the planet. We're all trying to grow. We're all trying to do this together.
That's great. I can be as bad as anyone on the planet. Here's a book that can help you.
Yes, I'm working on this too.
Okay. All right. Let's move on from that, Synthia. We're coming to the end here of your 13 meditations. And we got the Living Matrix.
The Living Matrix is based on the idea that we are all woven into the fabric of the universe. According to ancient Chinese texts, the meridians all end in the fingers and the toes and go out and weave us into the universe. And in different Mayan codices, it talks about how there are 13 major joints in the planet, and each of those 13 joints are attached to a specific place in the galaxy where we receive information and insight from. So we are wired to a multidimensional reality. We're wired through our chakras, we're wired through our meridians, we're wired through all of these different things to a multidimensional reality. And this meditation is to help you open to an awareness of multidimensional consciousness so that we're not so limited into this three-dimensional place that we live right now, or fourth-dimensional, I guess, depending on your physics.
And the last one, the 13th meditation, is part of the integration exercise and is titled Dancing with the Elements. Is that right?
Yes, that's actually the 14th. That is not one of the meditations. It is an integration exercise. The 13th was the Living Matrix.
Okay.
But the 14th, the integration exercise, is just a way to go out into the world and play with all of this and have fun. And I was introduced to that by Louisa Poole, who was my first energy mentor, and I believe she's even still alive in Rockport, Massachusetts, an amazing, amazing woman. And she took us out one day, put blindfolds on, my friend and I, and sent us into a cave, which was my very first experience with learning how to use my energy senses over the other senses that I have.
Your eyes can deceive you, don't trust them. Yeah, we've heard that before in many movies. Super. Now, I have to ask you this question. Where did you get all this information on these 13 meditations?
Okay, so the actual meditations themselves, so 3 of them, as I have said, come from traditional things. One from Barbara Marciniak, one from the Circle of Life from Chinese medicine, the one chakra one from traditional chakra meditations. The rest of them were meditations where I had been at a time in my life where I was lost. I needed help, and there it was. Like the Celtic Cross, I was with a friend of mine who was under severe psychic attack from a person, and I was just near her, which was enough to make me the focus, and I honestly did not know what to do. I wasn't really afraid. I just didn't know what to do, and then immediately that was there, and so I incorporated that and started using it and learning it, and each of them has come in that way. At some point, I would hold a question, and then there was an energy pattern for me to use. Sometimes I would see it in my clients, like weaving the nadis was one that I saw in a client after she had been in an accident, a car accident, and the car had spun many, many, many different times, and when I looked at her, all of her energy was like shoelaces, just pulled off to the side, and then as I began to loosen the shoelaces, I realized that these were connections between the chakras, and the whole meditation developed out of that. So each of these has come either from working with a client or from a question in my own life that needed an answer.
I see. Okay. So your book, The Path of Energy, the intent here is for the reader to embrace the 13 meditations or work through them and try them straight off the bat, and so that gives them a taste of the whiskey, so to speak, before they move. Yeah, it's a wild one for a spiritual show, but anyway, and then they can move on to part 2 and part 3. Now, part 2 is titled The Sea of Life Force. So what's in section 2 that will help the reader after they've kind of danced through the first 13 meditations, Synthia?
What's in part two is the kind of agreed upon constructs in present day time that you can use to organize this information to understand it better. I mean, constructs are just basically ways in which we organize information so that we can see patterns. Constructs change as information grows. Constructs change as we grow. So I don't in any point in this book try and say that these meditations are the only way or that your experience of them should always be like this. You know, everything is free to change. Everything is fluid, as are the constructs. But sometimes having a way to organize things just helps.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes through some of the scientific information. It defines consciousness a little bit, or what we understand about consciousness and holography and holographic memory recall. It talks a little bit about the science of frequency and resonance, and goes through the Vedic system of chakra understanding and aura understanding and the Chinese system of meridian understanding. And then it talks about how you can use how all that information is decoded in your body and translated into usable information. And that's the break-off point. Most people can't make the leap between these energy structures and how it gets translated into usable information. And the translation is all in your body. So physical sensations that you may get, intuitions that you may get, gut feelings, emotions. Emotions are one of the key ways that we have of discerning energy information. So that chapter ends with giving you different ways of decoding that information before you move into the final part of the book, which are really practical applications.
Okay. Well, let's talk about a few practical applications here, Synthia.
Okay. So certainly decision making is an area that we can all use a little bit of extra help with, and for me, energy awareness has become the way that I make decisions. I will sit before a decision, I'll look at the different possibilities, before me that I have to choose, and I'll send energy down each possibility and feel how far can it go, how much can it accomplish in each of those directions, and from doing that, I'll have an answer of which way to go forward. So it can help in decision-making, building intimacy in relationships. The energy linkages between people are totally natural. They happen all the time. All of this energy information is totally natural and happening all the time. There's nothing at all. I feel almost embarrassed to talk about how the meditations came to me, because it seems as if I'm claiming a knowledge that other people don't have, and I'm absolutely not. Every single person has access to energy information and knows within themselves the best way to use it for themselves in any given moment. Sometimes we get confused because we have an overlay of societal training. And this book, if it helps break people through that, then that's really all I wanted to do, and then throw everything else away and discover it for yourself, So we have natural connections to the people around us, and becoming aware of how the energy flows between us can be one of the most enriching experiences in a relationship that's possible. So building intimacy, building safety in relationships. Protection, knowing when you're safe and when you're not safe is an important thing. Changing life conditions, looking for the patterns that recreate the same conditions over and over again, and then using these meditations or energy awareness in general to shift those patterns. These are some ways.
Well, good. I think your book really touches on more science of new thought and energy than perhaps what you as the author may think. But which is really refreshing. To start off straight away by talking about E equals MC squared and explaining it in clear language, so the reader can understand that is 10 out of 10. Your book has some nice reviews and some good praise from some very credible people already. So
Thank
I think
you.
that's wonderful. When was it published? This June, or was it last month?
It just came out 2 days ago with the launch.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it came out on the 15th.
Okay, well, I've known about it for about a month and a half, 2 months in preparation for it. So is this the first book you've wrote, Synthia?
No, this is my first book that I have written solo. I'm co-author of 3 other books, the first one being a book on acupressure and reflexology for Dummies for Wiley Press, and then I co-wrote 2 books with my husband, author-researcher Colin Andrews, one on the changes happening in relation to 2012, and the other on the Akashic Records, or the universal field of consciousness. And those were both complete idiot's guides.
Complete Idiot's Guide. Okay. Well, the reason why I asked the question, Synthia, is you've done a wonderful job of writing and structuring this book. That I would find it very unlikely that this is the first time you've wandered in to authordom. So, and I really like how you've done for the meditations for the reader and for the listener here, the way that Synthia has listed out these 13 meditations. It's really easy, really simple to understand. You can read on what she would like you to imagine in your mind, and you can remember that when you sit down without having to grab the book and refresh midway through a meditation. What am I supposed to do now? So that's nice. Okay, do you plan on writing any supporting books or other related books in this field?
Yeah, it's interesting. The publisher has come back and asked for another book, and I am working on that now. And I am thinking that it's going to be a book on living intentionally and the science behind living intentionally. I think that is the most important place that we are in right now. And Sandy, if I could just jump back to what you were just saying about the accessibility of the meditation. Some people are really visual, and unfortunately, we weren't able to put a lot of visual into the book. The constraints of publishing, but if they go to the website, thepathofenergy.com, there are visual instructions for each of these meditations that they can go to reinforce the book. It isn't a separate from the book. You kind of need them both together, but thepathofenergy.com has a lot more supportive information.
Yes, and there's a link to thepathofenergy.com on the Universal Learning Series website main page, and will be on the archive show page as well. Synthia, thank you very much for joining us here to talk about your book, The Path of Energy, this morning. That's great.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much.
Thanks. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
You too. Bye-bye.
Please visit her website, thepathofenergy.com. Thank you for listening to the Universal Learning Series radio show, where we discover the spiritual and scientific universe. Have a great day.